Welcome to Erudite Magic's 3rd anniversary special 3 for 3. Inspired by ESPN's 30 for 30 series, I'm bringing you a unique twist on the magic books that have helped shape this channel into what it is today. Join me as we look at 3 books that were game changers for me and are must-reads for any serious magic enthusiast. From card magic to mentalism, there's something for everyone. Let's enjoy celebrating 3 years together here on YouTube with Erudite Magic. You know, it feels like just yesterday that I was starting not only my journey in magic, but my journey on this channel. And I've been in a reminisce kind of mood, and as I've been thinking about my own journey, there are 3 books that I feel like were pivotal in my development, and I want to share them with you. For me, each of these books came into my life at the exact right time, when I was ready. I had built up a small library and an arsenal of tricks, but these books showed me something more. And as we progress through this episode and I tell you about some of these books that meant so much to me, I want to hear from you. What books marked radical shifts in your development? At one point, all 3 of these books were actually out of print. Now, I'll tell you that one of them is already back in print, and a second one is being reprinted sometime this summer. The last one, well, it's still out of print. But if you're looking for books that are out of print or hard to find, then I recommend that you shop with the sponsor of this week's episode, Don's Magic and Books. If you don't already know, Don is one of the best places to look for books that are out of print, hard to find, or just getting more rare. He specializes in getting collections from one magician to the next, and he always does it at extremely reasonable prices. If you haven't already, then you need to check out his website, donsmagicandbooks.com, where you'll see everything that he has on his website, and they go pretty quickly because he does have such a great selection with such great prices. Not only that, but if you're in the United States and you meet certain thresholds, then you'll qualify for free and fast shipping. Don is a great guy to do business with and a personal friend of mine, so be sure to tell him that I sent you. Stop over at his website, donsmagicandbooks.com, and see if you can't find one of those books that you've been looking for a while. The first book that changed my perspective on magic came along at the right time. I was performing almost exclusively card tricks and had already studied some of the more basic texts like Royal Road to Card Magic and even some card college. So while I knew some basic find my card routines, this book opened up whole new worlds of possibility. There were self-working card tricks that were devastatingly more impactful than anything else I had ever seen to date. The author also shared mental-flavored card routines that allowed participants to make free choices about card selections that left you with the winning poker hand. And there were surprise climaxes to card tricks with royal flush kickers. I learned some simple but useful sleights that were different than anything else I had seen. While the tricks and techniques were great, it wasn't the tricks that made this a pivotal book for me. The real gold is that I learned there was a middle ground between beginner and advanced card magic. You see, when I started, I basically thought that there was the 21 card trick and Guy Hollingworth's The Reformation. There was a big gap in the middle that I had no idea there were tricks out there that were effective and yet easy to do. But this book showed me that next level thinking can make a card trick interesting, and it doesn't have to be hard. You may have guessed by now, but I'm talking about John Bannon's Dear Mr. Fantasy. This book really cemented John Bannon's reputation as someone who published some great card thinking. And while this book is out of print right now, I hear word on the street is that they're planning to reprint it this summer with Gabe Pahuri and Swatch Publishing, so stay tuned to my social media accounts if you'd like to be notified when you can pick up this pivotal book. As we dive into the next book on my list, let me ask you a question. What if you had the opportunity to study under one of the greatest teachers in magic? Would you do it? What if that teacher revisited everything they had taught over the last 2 decades and provided you with updated thoughts from their experience over that time? Oh, and what if this teacher was a real worker, someone who had done magic in the trenches, at restaurants, with everything from dollar bills to ashes, matches to playing cards? What if these lessons could be yours forever and would only cost you $65 for a lifetime of advice. That's exactly what this next book did for me. The guru is Eugene Berger, and the book is Mastering the Art of Magic. I've done a detailed review of this book now that it's back in print, and you can see that by clicking the card here in the corner. But this book is pivotal for me because it taught me theory, the why of magic. It taught me that it wasn't enough to just fool someone. They really needed to care about what you were saying to them. And more importantly, this book showed me how to get to that point. This book of the three that I'm talking about is the one that's back in print. It was republished recently, so you can definitely get this book, and I highly recommend you do. The third book that I'm about to talk about probably had the biggest impact on the way I perform my magic. You see, I didn't really discover mentalism until 2012. I saw Richard Osterlin perform it, and I knew that this is what I wanted to do for paying audiences. Now, while Richard Osterlin introduced me to mentalism, it was this other author who is one of the godfathers of modern mentalism. I'm talking about Bob Cassidy, and the book is The Artful Mentalism of Bob Cassidy. This book was pivotal because it harkens back to a completely different era of magic books when someone put out a lifetime of work all within 2 covers of one book here. And while this book is sadly out of print, it's totally worth its weight in gold. And quite literally, I have performed so many effects from this book for paying audiences and have made thousands of dollars from this material alone. The 4th dimensional telepathy routine taught in this book is worth pretty much whatever it takes. But even more important than the tricks that I learned and the effects that I do in my show, Bob Cassidy showed me that you need to have some thought behind the abilities that your character has and what kind of claims are you actually making. Then design and choose the material in ways that are consistent with the claims that your character has. Of course, there are tons and tons of routines in this book, and while it's out of print with no real plans that I can tell to republish it, you can still get a lot of this material from library.com. At the end of the day, these are the books that impacted me in a very meaningful way, but I think the point is you never really know when a book will change you if you let it. I didn't really buy any of these books thinking that they were going to shake up my world, but by reading and applying what they said, I allowed these authors to shape my magic and consequently my career. If you want to know how to get the most out of the magic books that you already have, be sure to check out this video here. As always, my friends, I truly appreciate you being along this journey that we call Erudite Magic for the last 3 years. It really does mean a lot, and I'm so happy to have you here. If there's ever anything I can do for you, don't be afraid to give me a shout. And don't forget, keep reading.